Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to your fifth and final day of the Ford Legends series here, brought to you by NXTGEN Racing. And fantastic night we have for you here as well this evening at Mugello. We are doing the short version of the circuit, and with 2.4 kilometers, 2.54 sorry kilometers of the track for these guys to really sink their teeth into tonight and go out with a bang in the final rounds or final races this evening, and the final of the season as well. So we are on week 5 out of 5, and just to show you what has happened so far, let's bring you up some of the points that we've got. So at the minute, Kieran Sharp leading the way on 295. Isaac Doble close behind on 246. And we've got Jamie Dory not too far beyond that on 193. And then the gap closens even more between Nick Clibbens on 172 and Mikey Pollard on 158. And then going down from there, we have Andrew Pike in P6, Lee Horn in P7, Duncan Ryan P8, Alan McCain P9, and Adam Delmont rounding off your top 10. P11 is Ian Manners, Adam Locke P12, Ben Ultra P13, Matthew Cheverton P14, Sam Bradley P15, Daniel Fritz P16, Alex Meredith P17, Benjamin McCluskey P18, Mark Sykes P19, and Josh Brown P20. Coming on from that, we have Jonathan Collins P21, Mark Kent on P22, and then we've got Jake Pitt, James Smagasgal, and Lewis Mason all on 0 points. Then we've got Sam Smith on -5, Alexander Parkin on -10, and Costa out there on -12. Going into the AMs then at the moment, and it shows as Nick Clibbens as an AM, but I believe he has been moved to pro. He is a pro driver to my knowledge, but from what we can see here anyway, we'll go with what we can see in front of us. Nick Clibbens does lead the way. Ben Ultra at P2 on 202, Sam Bradley on 137, and Adam Locke on 135. Then we've got Daniel Fritz on 104, and going down from that we have Craig Tillotson P6, Sam Smith P7, Josh Brown close behind Sam Smith, 1 point splits to 2 in P8, Costa in P9, Mark Sykes P10, and then Jonathan Collins P11, Mark Kent P12, Alexander Parkin P13, and then we have the bottom three of Drake Pitt, James Magasgal, and Kevin Smith all on nil points down there at the bottom of the pack. So let's look towards what is going on track then. So we are into qualifying, about 5 minutes into the qualifying session as well. And what we'll do is we'll put on the good old qualifying mode. Now this will show you in the bottom of your screen how those drivers are doing in each sector. As you can see, it's split up into 2 sectors. Obviously it's a much smaller track, so there's no need for many more. 2 sectors is all that is needed for these guys, as we are looking at Kieran Sharp, who has done some fantastic work this season, both him and Isaac Doble, fighting fist to fist, cuff to cuff, all throughout the season, and really been at each other's throats, whether they're fighting at the top of the tower or a bit further down the grid after either reverse grids or some early collisions in the races. Now, racing has been that tight that we have seen some collisions. Hopefully it's not too many here this evening. But you never quite know with the Ford Legends. Anything could happen at any point. It's a bit of has a massive surprise element to these races, and we'll be treated to some more lovely action here again this evening. As we do get ready for kicking off your final evening of the Ford Legends racing here. Unfortunately, it is the end of the short season, short tracks, short season for the Ford Legends. 3 races each night though, so plenty of time out there on track. And well, for the last round of this season, we're hoping to go out with an absolute bang. As we see Duncan Wright, purple sector, and I won't take his sunlight away. Ben Ultra did go purple in the first sector on his last lap as well, so Duncan Ryan managed to improve on that time. There he is, the number 33 on your screen there, in the Alberto Nasca livery. Now, Mugello was quite a wide turning circuit. There's no sort of short and sharp corners, especially not for these cars with how small they are compared to the other motor vehicles that go around this circuit. These are probably one of the smallest that go around here, to be fair, so plenty of space and time to get some side-by-side action and really get some heat in those tyres when fighting for your position. Plenty of room to get that done, and plenty of opportunities for overtakes along the way. At the minute we do have 14 cars that have posted lap times. Just got Sam Smith as the only other car in the session that hasn't posted a time yet. So 15 cars in total for this evening's racing. This far it could all change, but at the minute it does sit at 15. 15 cars with to have some enjoyment and pleasure racing around the lovely Mugello circuit this evening. And who knows, for some of these drivers it might be the final time they ever drive the Ford Legends cars. We do have one off in the barrier in the background, but for others it might be a bit of an eye-opening experience, and they might take off into officials with these Ford Legends. I know there's definitely been some positive feedback as the 777 goes around there. That's Adam Delmont. He goes around and is facing the barrier, gets back underway, reversing back onto track. But like I was saying, some of these drivers, this might open their eyes a bit more to other vehicles and other type of races. So we might well see some of these guys in the official sessions behind the wheel of a Ford Legends vehicle, tearing up the rubber in some other series. Now, it isn't long until we get underway here. We're creeping up towards our last 5 minutes. Isaac Doble, he is on top at the moment, but he has just gone purple in Sector 1. Let's see what happens here for Mr. Doble. Not so good Sector 2, as you can see, he's almost a tenth slower than that quickest lap time. Needs some improvement in that final sector there. Now the question is, he is on top, but look how close the top two are. Basically nothing between them, almost exactly the same time. And that just shows how tight the battling will be here this evening. Obviously, don't forget, we do have reverse grids out there for these races up and coming as well. Not the first one, but the second one will have one. And then same with the third as well. Obviously, it'll be a random reverse grid. And let's hope it doesn't do the normal and just reverse grid the top two. Because, well, that doesn't entertain anyone. So, hopefully, these drivers will have a massive mix-up. And we'll see, who knows, maybe a full reverse grid. That would be incredible to see that on the final day. The only bonus is when it is the top two that reverse grid, it's always interesting to see Isaac Doble and Kieran Sharp switching around, switching positions to see if who can defend the better. Who's the better at keeping those other cars at bay and driving, not necessarily in their mirrors, but making that car as wide as possible to stop any other vehicles from getting by. That's always the interesting part, even if it is just a top two reverse grid. Downfall for some of you guys at home that maybe not find that so interesting, but I tell you what, if we see anything higher than a top 5 reverse grid, that's gonna put a spanner in the works for some of these races. As I imagine we'll be seeing long single file queues around this circuit. It's one of them fast flowing circuits where momentum is key, and well, it certainly will be in these cars. And then out of the corners we have to slow down just ever so slightly. It'll be a question of who can get up to that top speed the quickest. There'll be a lot of bump drafting going on, I imagine, especially up this long straight. There goes Isaac Doble coming across the line once more, and you can see how long this straight is. He's only just coming up to the end of the pit lane now, so it just shows how much space and time there is to actually get some moves done in these cars. So we look towards Andrew Pike, and Mr. Pike currently in P3, just under 2/10 away from the car ahead. Or shall I say the car's ahead in basically the same lap time. So he's not too far off your leaders, the 57. May have a bit of work to do when the race gets underway, but when all the cars are close together, anything could happen, and it really could play into Andrew Pike's favour. Now here's an interesting battle, and no doubt we'll probably see this on track as well. Matthew Cheverton. And then just ahead, we do have the 013 of Nick Clibbins, I believe. Is that the 013? I could be completely wrong. No, I don't think that is the 013. I am completely wrong. That's Alan McCain. That's 212. For some reason, to me, that looked like 013. Anyway, these two, P10 and P11, so not only are they next to each other on the circuit, but they are on the table as well, on the timing tower as it stands. So they are going to be all over each other throughout this race, and the amount of times we've seen that 390 get in amongst all sorts of battles out there between many different races this season. Definitely loves to get stuck in there, Matthew Cheverton. There's the number 27 just behind Sam Smith. Here's the final car to set in a lap time, and as we approach into the last minute of the qualifying, everyone has their lap times in. Everyone seems more or less ready to go here this evening at Mugello. After a fantastic weekend, shall we say, of racing for or of sport in general for anyone that is English or from the United Kingdom. It is great to see that it's looking like there could be someone from the UK coming away with that trophy here this evening. I know a good proportion of the grid are from the UK, but nevertheless it's still nice after a very long and tense weekend of sport. But the last 5 seconds are wrapping up here our qualifying session before we jump in and give you your lineups, as the cars will come across the line now, posting their final lap times. See if we have any improvements out there and any cars switching positions. Can Isaac Doble improve? He may not need to, because Kieran Sharp isn't out on the circuit. As you can see, they can't find a car for Kieran Sharp, so Kieran settling for P2. So Isaac Doble doesn't really need to push too much, but maybe just for a bit of safety from Andrew Pike, who is looking to, I was going to say improve on his time, but he's probably going so slow he's almost going backwards, so he won't be improving that time anytime soon. So we see Barney's flag is out, and the rest of these cars are now coming across the line. Got Jamie Dory and Lee Horn there. Lee Horn, someone that we speak about quite a lot, involved in many different battles, and same with Mr. Dory as well, always getting stuck in and involved somewhere. There's Adam Delmont testing up the suspension of that 777. Sam Bradley's come across the line, and Sam Smith decides that he doesn't want to take part anymore and goes the wrong way to try and undo his lap. This is not a Word document, you can't just press the undo button, Sam Smith. You need to crack on. We approach the end of the session. Bring you your results here in just a few moments, and we'll get these cars lined up on the grid, ready to take action here this evening for the first time. As you can see on your screen, there's a lovely like button there, so please do drop a like on the streams wherever you're watching them. And here is your grid, brought to you by the lovely Callum Wyndham, aka myself. Isaac Doble leads the way, Kieran Sharp P2, Andrew Pike P3, Jamie Dorian P4, Mikey Pollard P5, Lee Horn P6, Nick Clemens P7, Adam Delmont P8, Ben Ultra P9, Alan McCain P10, Matthew Cheverton P11, Duncan Wright P12. As we scroll through the grid. Oh, as we scroll through. Oh, no, never mind. It doesn't want to show me that. So I can tell you from then on, it is Sam Bradley in P13, Sam Smith P14, and then we've got Daniel Fritz P15 overall. I'll remember that from my my lovely technology not wanting to show me the lineups. There are your front two. Two very familiar numbers from this season, 65 and the 23. Isaac Doble, Kieran Sharp. Doble, closest one on your screen, as you can see from the bottom left corner. Car will be highlighted as normal. And same as ever. We'll have all the important information up on your screen as well. Don't forget all the sponsors for the Next Gen Racing sponsorships for this league. They are all in the top right hand corner. Obviously, if you are showing any interest in what the Next Gen Racing team are doing in terms of the races they're putting on and the different leagues, please do get yourselves involved, jump on the Discord, and feel free to ask any questions you wish to do so. And tonight, I think it's certain that Kieran Sharp is the champion of the pros, and I'm pretty sure the AM champion is more or less solidified as well, but with lower numbers in the AMs, a little more up for grabs. So whether you're fighting for P1 or not, there's an opportunity here to score some big points and possibly move up the table as well. As they go around and complete their warm-up lap, you will see some of the cars jumping around on the timing tower, changing positions. However, you don't need to worry about that just yet. They will all be told to stay single file and hold their positions very shortly. Here we go around the final corner, and the pace car is in. There we go. Foot flat to the floor for all of these races at the minute, and Kieran Sharp gets the drop on everybody else. He finds himself out in front at the moment. The 23 does take the lead. Isaac Doble looking to look towards the outside line now, and you got the 13 right at the very outside line. You can tell who that is, can't you? Jamie Dory sticks out bright blue and pink as he comes around the outside line in turn 1. That's going to give the advantage to the 57 car, Andrew Pike, who does look to push up beyond Isaac Doble. Not able to do so this far, as they're now getting into turns 3 and heading towards 4. A lot of back and forth at the minute for these races, and there's the single file traffic lines that I was talking about. There's going to be some long lines on this course because I imagine everyone will be more or less single file. But as it stands at the minute, Kieran Sharp leads the way. Isaac Doble P2, then Andrew Pike settles for P3 at the minute, just ahead of Jamie Dory, and then a bit of a gap to Mikey Pollard as well, with the classic wooden livery just in the background. Here he comes now, 73. Just in front of that, 36 Lee Horn. Again, Lee Horn involved amongst the battles out on course. Even back down this way, Alan McCain, 212, in the fight with, lo and behold, the 390 of Matthew Cheverton. Matthew Cheverton does go around the outside line, well and truly in front now. Plenty of space between the two cars. Can't really say that that position is in contest anymore, because it certainly wasn't. As you can see, that single file traffic really does take effect now, with Sam Smith trying to chew down on the rear end of Daniel Fritz and catch up to that Legends car and pull off a successful move, and he does so, holds the tight inside line. Daniel Fritz going a little off line there and awfully wide, which enables Sam Smith to push up a place. Sam Bradley, car number 3, just sitting in front of the number 33, up one position from his starting grid place. You can see the 33 swinging out there. That's Duncan Wright just in behind. I think it's a bit of just distraction tactics as we look towards Lee Horn. Now, what has Lee Horn got up his sleeve? Number 36 in P6. Looking towards the outside line of Mr. Pollard. I think there's a little bit of contact there. Just bumper-to-bumper stuff. The 777 of Adam Delmont does got the inside line and take that position away from Lee Horn. You can see the 777 right on the rear end of Mr. Pollard now, and this will be the closest group in the field at the moment. And just as I say that, Isaac Dybel, what have you got planned, sir? Looking to go around the outside of Kieran Sharp, now finds himself on the inside line. The lead changes once more in the hands of the 65. He does still have that inside line. There he is, his nose of one and in front, whole car in front now, bumper to bumper stuff. Almost got tangled together, the two bumpers, really, because they do stick out a little bit. So there's a little bit of space to get connected and pulled together. But 65 is now leading. But the train is all behind Kieran Sharp, so there's a big drafting train there, and possibly a bit of bump drafting up the straight as well, which might work in the favour of Kieran Sharp. He does have the inside line at the moment, so things are in his hands, and he uses that as well, as the 23 does take the inside line, hold it nice and tight, and manages to push forward. 65 does have to settle in just behind, and we've got 57 just behind that as well, with number 13 and the 777 just behind. 57 of Andrew Pike, currently sitting in that P3 spot, defending it away from Jamie Dory, not letting him by, and Anna Delmont on the rear of that train. There you got Mikey Pollard just in the picture there in that classic wooden livery. 73 of Mr. Pollard, looking to claw up a place or two if he can, and I think he'll be counting on any mistakes, if at all, from these racers. And here goes the 65, Isaac Dybel on the outside of Kieran Sharp. Kieran Sharp does have the advantage on the inside line, but if Isaac can hold it, it is going to swing his way onto the next turn. He can't quite hold it, and it almost concedes him two positions, as the 57 nearly got in front then. As you can see, all the cars are only moved around by one or so positions, apart from Mr. Delmont, up 3 positions. Fantastic start for that 777 car this far. He finds himself just outside of the battle for the podium, but well within touching distance of it. As you can see, not even a second splits him from the leader. And there's still plenty of time for this action to really heat up. As you can see, they are really keeping that single file line of traffic going. Front two do break the drafting train ever so slightly, as the 23 does sit on the inside line. Isaac Dybel unfortunately not able to get that move on the inside, but he looks for the cutback. Can he keep his nose side by side here? No, he doesn't. Falls back into single file traffic once more, and the 65 is going to have to settle at looking the rear end of that 23 for a few more corners before making that move that will so give him that roll, that position, that lead that he so desires for this first race of the final 3 here this evening. feel like we need the final countdown music playing towards the end of the season. It's going to be needed. Last couple of races here. Week 5 out of 5. And at the minute, your leader, Kieran Sharp, growing a bit of a gap now. 0.36 between the front two. 3.5 tenths of a second, that is. Doesn't sound like a lot of time, but in these Legends, that really feels like a lot of time. Because obviously they're all matched on speed, and it's just a question of who accelerates the best. As you see Jamie Dory here, looking to set up an attack on the 57, trying to get onto that podium place. He was very close onto the rear bumper of that 57 on the start straight. He found himself a bit side by side there with Adam Dalmon, which is something he won't want because that is going to cost him a bit of time. As you can see, the gap has opened up ever so slightly. Not a lot, but just enough at the moment. Oh, 7 minutes 45 have gone so fast. We're nearly at the halfway point in this race. And it seems like the single file traffic option is going to be a common theme by the looks of things throughout this evening. The racing is all very, very similar. And obviously the lines are almost identical because it is one of those momentum tracks. So you are going to follow the line to the car in front. Because if you can keep your momentum going while staying in the slipstream of the car ahead, that is really going to benefit you going around this circuit. Keeping your momentum is the hardest thing, but these drivers are doing it very well this far. And let's have a look at the top of your screens of your leaders of classes. So at the minute, obviously Kieran Sharp leads the race overall, but leads his class and race overall, sorry, that's what I was meant to say. And then you've got Ben Altria leading the AMS at the minute, and just as I say that, it looks like that Ben Altria has gone off into the wall, and that is a very, very hard collision. Head on with the wall at a decent rate of speed. You can see the masses of smoke coming off of that car there. That's going to cost him dearly as he finds himself back in P15, bottom of the grid for the 504. That's certainly not going to be a healthy situation for him. So here is your leader for the AMS then now. That falls to Sam Bradley. And Sam, not to put any pressure on you or anything, but Duncan Wright, who's in P2 for the AMS, is just behind you. So you need to keep your foot down if you can. And just as I say that, Duncan Wright is looking at getting by. Can he possibly do that? It's not looking that way this far. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened for him just yet. It's not quite fallen for Duncan Wright in terms of getting the overtakes. But sadly, sometimes that is racing. Things won't always fall your way. As Isaac Doble at the moment on the inside line of the 23, so he has now got that favoured line. And he holds the inside line very well. Car getting a bit squally on the outside though, so 23. Kieran Sharp's able to keep it side by side. Now he gets the advantage into the next corner. That's going to swing straight back to Isaac Doble. Now can Doble make the most of it? Get his car in front. He does so indeed. So a new leader once more. 65 leads the race as it stands at the moment. Just ahead of Kieran Sharp, and the 57 lurking in the background as well. That's Andrew Pike. 0.37 behind those cars ahead. So the battle for the race win is well and truly on as we just go over the halfway mark in this race. Half time has been and gone. As you can see, 65 Isaac Doble trying to break that drafting train and stop Kieran Sharp from getting any form of boost off of his car with the wind already being carved into by the 65's vehicle. All Kieran Sharp has to do is drive through the hole in the wind that is created from that 65 from your leader. It helps speed things up just ever so slightly. Engine doesn't have to work as hard. I'll say these cars do max out at the top speed pretty quickly, but the question is, how quick can you get to that top speed? So they are all limited. So it is based on driver skill. And yeah, like I say, how quick you can get that car up to its top speed. 8 minutes left to go. See our 504 Ben Ultra tucking off to the inside line there to let all the cars by. A little tap of the grass for Kieran Sharp, who's nearly half a second behind now. That gap really has extended between the top two. As Isaac Doble just finding a brief bit of pace at the moment. Enough pace to see him pull away from the pack. That's going to be the question. A little bit more work to do though for this man, Nick Clibbens, who takes that position away from Mikey Pollard, sorry. Don't know why I called him Mickey, that's the first time I've done that this season. But the 013 takes that place back, and Nick Clibbens does see himself just in front, and just like I say that, the 73, Mikey Pollard, manages to get his nose back ahead this time around. Once again, the advantage is going to fall into the hands of the 73. He is going to storm off ahead. Bit of a drift there in the entry of that corner. Something that Pollard has done quite a lot this season. Send his car into big drifts. You see the back end spinning ever so slightly there for the 73 and the 390. As we see once more, Mikey Pollard conceding that place. Nick Clibbens does move up one. Now we've got Matthew Cheverton here on your screens now, the 390 defending his place at the moment. Well, I say defending his place, let me correct myself there. He's not defending his place, that is a lapped car behind him. Our only lapped car on the field, that is Ben Ultra. Ben Ultra unfortunately suffering some engine difficulties after having a more than firm kiss with the wall. See now the gap between these four really closing up, as we see the 390 of Matthew Cheverton looking to make it 3 wide, and he's done so. He's stuck his nose up in the inside. Oh, I thought he went for a pit manoeuvre there. I thought they were side by side, but I guess I was wrong, as the 390 does look to get his head just in front, and unfortunately he can't do that. The 013 of Nick Clibbens does maintain the lead of this pack. As you can see now, he's starting to pull away ever so slightly, the 013. Bit of smoke there in the background. Nice inside line held there by the 390 of Matthew Cheverton. Not enough to give him any form of advantage on top of Mikey Pollard. But as you can see there, Cheverton does get in front of Pollard this time round. On the straight he had enough momentum. He had good enough acceleration to get to that top speed quicker. And has the 390 done the double, he looks to it. Side by side Nick Clibbens now into the S's. And no, he drops off in single file traffic. Almost inviting Pollard to come back through, as that inside line was open there for a brief second of time. And that looks awfully inviting. I certainly would have gone for that gap if I had seen that. As you can see, these cars bursting into drifts around some of these corners. You can see Mikey Pollard is the better displayer of these drifts. Seems to be doing it on every corner now. He's not really got much to lose, Mikey Pollard, so I think he's possibly just having some fun this evening, which I don't blame him. It's the last one of the season. Just go out there and enjoy yourself. That's what I'd be saying to myself and these racers if I was there before the race had commenced. Jamie Dory at the minute really closing down that gap to the Pike just ahead. Not much between those, and just as I say that, battle for the lead coming right down then, as we see, just under a tenth of a second between the 23 and the 65. Now there's 1.3 seconds between Andrew Pike and P2, so that's slowly slipping out of his hands as we approach the last couple of minutes of the opening race. As it stands, Isaac Doble is looking at gold, and Kieran Sharp will be looking at silver as we come around to complete another lap, and we have just breached the 2-minute mark. 2 minutes left to go, 1 minute 7 per lap. So we'll be seeing this one and one more. The penultimate lap for these guys out there. Isaac Doble on the defensive into the S's. Holds off the 23. Not a problem at all. Not looking like he's struggling whatsoever with those tyres either. It's one good thing to note for the next few races is they don't have to worry about their tyres. They can really go for it, because that's certainly what these two have been doing. Going hammer and tongs all race. Not been letting up for anyone. Oh, you can see the 57 there getting a bit on the grass and nearly spun himself out with that. As the white flag there from Barney is out. Now the battle for the lead is still well and truly on. 1/10 between the two. That's all that splits them. You can see outside line for the 23, inside for the 65. 65 has loads of time between him and Kieran Sharp. But that gap really does close up now. 1.5 tenths between the two. At the minute, you could only just squeeze in another Ford Legends between these two guys. So there's not a ton of space between the two vehicles. But has Isaac Doble done enough to bring the gold home? Not going to talk about it too much, because I jinxed some people really badly last round out, and I'm not going to make event 2 of 2 for the jinxes. But Isaac Doble does come across the line in P1, and 3 tenths behind was Kieran Sharp in the end. So he really did extend that gap, and for the greater good as well. As these cars come across the line. Got Sam Bradley next. There goes Duncan Murray. Got Sam Smith coming up. And Daniel Fritz go by. Alan McCain, the last car to come around this evening. Going into a big old drift there, showing off for the cameras. I don't blame him, because I would be too if I was in his situation right now. Really sending it into the drifts into the final few turns of this lap. And yeah, just a bit too much. It's a good thing we didn't see the entry on that, so it didn't look as bad as it was. But yeah, Mr. McCain, a little too much gas on that one. And pedal to the metal for Mr. McCain as he comes across the line for the final time. in our first race. We will bring you your points here in just a second. Or your standings, sorry. And Isaac Dybel did finish P1. Kieran Sharp gave him a good run for his money, finished P2, 3/10 behind in the end. Jamie Dory sealing off that final podium spot. Then we've got Adam Delmont P4, Andrew Pike P5, Lee Horn P6, Nick Clibbans P7, Matthew Cheverton P8, Mikey Pollard P9, Sam Bradley P10, Duncan Murray P11, Sam Smith P12, Daniel Fritz P13, Alan McCain without a bumper in P14, and Ben Ultra in P15. So they are your opening standings this far. Race 2 coming up very, very shortly. So we'll do our normal. We'll switch to our intro screen or our thumbnail screen, and we'll be back with the commentary just before the next race commences. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Once again, we bring you to Mugello Short for another 20 minutes full of racing. I have to think how long the races were then. It's not like we've been doing this for 5 weeks or anything. Now, normally I would bring you a lineup and it'll look really fancy and it'll be on the screen, but we're not going to do that because every time we've done that so far this season, it's been broken. It's showing me the incorrect lineup. So what we'll do, we'll read it off the top left of the screen. So you can see Adam Delmont leads the way, P1. Jamie Dory, who will be in P2 when he joins us on the grid. Kieran Sharp, P3. Isaac Doble, P4. Andrew Pike, P5. Lee Horn, P6. Nick Clibbens, P7. Matthew Cheverton, P8. And then we have Mikey Pollard, P9. Sam Bradley, P10. Duncan Murray, P11. Sam Smith, P12. And then we have Daniel Fritz, P13, Alan McCain, P14, and Ben Ultra at P15. Now, if you can't tell, it was a top 4 reverse grid. So, with those 4 being swapped around, Adam Delmont and Jamie Dory have the joys of sending us off here for the second race. And just behind them, we do have our 2 quickest cars out there on the circuit this evening. Jamie Dory and Adam Delmont have the joys of holding off Kieran Sharp and Isaac Doble. Not an easy task, and not going to be a fun one at hand, but nevertheless, it's a job that has to be done. Someone has to do it. The question is, can Delmont and Dory, between the 2 of them, can they hold off those cars behind? Or can one of them hold them off and the other one breaks away? Who knows? There may not be teamwork between the 2. I'll tell you what, there's going to be some tight racing though as we head round the turn 1 and towards 2 and 3 for the warm-up lap behind the pace car. Remember, 20 minutes of racing yet to come. We saw the times fluctuating between the cars last race. Sometimes they will space out a little bit, other times they will close up and get nice and close together. That's one of those joys of racing where different things happen all the time. With these cars especially, as they will chop and change at all different stages of the race. And it is all about the driver skill level. Safety car is in. This is Jamie Dory. And the lights are up, and we are more or less underway. Feet flat to the floor. Delmont pushing Kieran Sharp onto the grass. Let's have a little look there. See, as it stands, the battle is 3 wide. Kieran Sharp being on the far left of your screen, Delmont in the middle, and Lee Horn on the far right. And now Jamie Dory's been pushed to the inside line by Isaac Doble. He sits heavy on the inside line there. Isaac Doble, does he have that momentum and speed over those cars on the inside line? He doesn't. And he drops down about 3 or 4 cars actually from that move. And that really didn't work in his favour. And there's smoke there in the background. Somehow, all cars managed to maintain momentum and keep going around this circuit. I've fully thought we were going to see at least one of them facing the wrong way, but they've all done a very, very good job at keeping things going, and top awareness from everyone out there as well. Unfortunately, for this man, down 3 positions from his starting grid place, P4 overall at the moment for Mr. Delmont, and both Kieran Sharp and Doble did get the jump and did manage to sneak past in the opening lap here. Now, Jamie Dory, this does all fall down onto your shoulders now. Kieran Sharp and Isaac Doble, 2 cars behind you. And the only one he really needs to hold off at the minute is Kieran Sharp, because Doble isn't really close enough to get any moves done. There's almost a second between second place and third place at the minute. So that's how quick the gaps do open up. But that could easily close very, very quickly again. as we see Kieran Sharp does take the lead around the outside line there of turn 2. And into turn 3, he's well and truly ahead now, and instantly Jamie Dory finds himself almost equidistant between Kieran Sharp and Isaac Dybel. And we see Kieran Sharp having a couple of blinking issues. Now, we've spoken over this before. We know what blinking issues are. And the blinking issues do represent just a bit of connection problems for some of the racers. And unfortunately, Kieran Sharp was one of them that's suffering at the moment. I think that's Sam Smith we just saw off in the background. That was indeed the pink arches of Sam Smith's car there. Unfortunately suffering on the grass. Duncan Marai inside or outside line, sorry, for turn 1. Up the straight, and this is the battle for the true green car. As you can see, these liveries all very, very similar. Same sort of colour coordination between them. Just different patterns here and there. The green battle all the way for P10 at the minute, as Duncan Wright finds himself in front only just of Nick Clibbons, who's the 013, now under pressure from Ben Altria 504. He'll be looking for a bit of a comeback drive from that first race with that unfortunate heavy kiss with the barrier. He'll be looking to capitalise on the second race and really try and push up the field. Just so I say that, he does tap 2 wheels onto the grass, but manages to maintain momentum and keep pushing on forward. Isaac Dybel just up behind Mr. Dory now. 1 minute 6.010 for Isaac Dybel. Quickest lap time 65 at the moment. 65, the quickest car on track for this second race thus far. And doing a good job at the minute in P3, wanting to climb by Jamie Dory though, and really start trying to hunt down your leader Kieran Sharp, because we know what Kieran Sharp is like. Once he has a lead, he has a tendency to start building, and relatively quick as well. When he's in the lead with a gap like this, that man could build a house within 5 laps. He really does build his time very quickly, and he'll be gone away with the fairies very, very soon, I imagine. With that clean air in front of him, nothing's really stopping him from pulling away. As you can see, 2 tenths already have gone, and the gap has been extended since we started talking about it. So that is all it takes. Doesn't take very long at all for that time to really start building up. Again, on board with Isaac Dybel. As you can see, looking towards the outside line there, because he's got the 777 of Delmont up the inside. Delmont imposing an attack, and a successful one at that as well. That brings Lee Horn into the action almost, as he looked to get by Isaac Dybel as well. Dybel does just enough to keep in front of Lee Horn at the minute, but now finds 2 cars between him and Mr. Sharp. So the two, I'd say, 2 rivals of this league, Isaac Dybel and Kieran Sharp, 2 cars are now holding them to apart. Those cars will be the front row from your starting grid this race, as the first 5 minutes have been and gone. So already a quarter of this race has disappeared just in the flash like that. But as it stands at the minute, Kieran Sharp does have a large gap between him and Jamie Dory. Jamie Dory, P2, there he goes, just beyond Barney. And there's a rather large gap between Andrew Pike and Cheverton. There's Cheverton. And here's Andrew Pike. Andrew Pike leading the second pack. It seems like the race is split up into 2 packs. And at the minute, Ben Altria having a fight with Sam Smith and Alan McCain. Alan McCain in that 212. Just ahead there, and Sam Smith does get the advantage as well. Great exit speed for both of them. Unfortunately, not the same can't be said really for Ben Altria. He got really poor exit speed out of that turn, and that's cost him dearly. That gap has now extended. So a really painful moment when you build up all that momentum, you get on the rear end of those cars just ahead, you feel like your battle's on, you could be making a move, you're having some good time side by side, and then all of a sudden it all comes crashing down, just like it did for Ben Ultra there. Now, as you can see, the times are starting to even out just ever so slightly as we look towards Delmont, who's going to want to try and close that half a second gap to Dory just ahead. But at the same time, let's talk about Isaac Doble again. He needs to close that 0.3 of a second, and for a brief moment of time there it did drop down to 2, but back up to 3 once more. And if he wants any chance of catching Kieran Sharp this race, he needs to close that gap ASAP, because it is now really extending from your leader. He's still within the tow of Adam Delmont, the car ahead. From Delmont again, just within the tow from Jamie Dory. And I could be wrong, but I believe, from what I've been told, it's about 0.8 of a second before the tow in these cars is broken. And the time between the top 4 to 5 drivers, it's all starting to come down now. Let's look towards Lee Horn, someone that we've not mentioned too much here this evening. Has got involved in some serious battles, but at the minute he's just lurking off the rear end of one, and an important one at that as well, because it could involve a podium spot. At the minute, podium sitters are being held by Kieran Sharp, P1, Jamie Dory, P2, Adam Delmont, P3, and Lee Horn, P5. So there's only one car splitting him from the podium, because then he will be right on the rear end of Mr. Delmont, and that could be the bronze medal for him. As we now seem to be in that phase of single file traffic. And now this is where the racing will start to spread out as we approach the halfway mark in this second race. Race 2 of 3 this evening. Let's jump back towards Duncan Marai, the number 33, just on the rear end of Sam Bradley, the number 5. And all these cars up 1 position. Andrew Pike down 2, and unfortunately Nick Clemens down 4 positions at the moment. So things haven't really gone in the favour of Mr. Clemens. Here he is being highlighted on your screen at the moment. The 013 car there. Now Mikey Pollard, he's saying enough is enough, and he wants that position away from Mr. Pike, number 57, just ahead of him now. Not much between the two cars. 0.2 of a second. They now come into their final corner. Can Pollard get on the accelerator a little earlier and maintain that traction without hitting the grass? He does just that out of the exit, and is it going to be enough? You can see just over 1/10 between the two cars. However, that time is coming down, and I think this is the benefit of the draft that we are seeing here. As you see Mikey Pollard swing towards the outside line. unfortunately doesn't have enough to make that move stick, as we look towards Nick Clibbons at the minute, getting involved here side by side, and was side by side for a brief moment, now single file once more. It's certainly not easy to tell all these cars apart, that's for sure, with the green and the same liveries and all sorts. Makes my job a little more fun, that's for sure. We see the number 5 doing a great job at the minute, Sam Bradley. Sitting in front of this group and not letting them phase him one bit. As you can see, the massive spin there for the 2-1-2. That's Alan McCain. Spun around and looked fantastic. Very pretty ballerina effect there. As he goes pirouetting off of the straight. 2-1-2 unfortunately falls down to P15 overall. And the 0-1-3 there of Nick Clibbons gains a place. Gets in front of Mr. Duncan Marai, number 33. He is the car highlighted on your screen at the moment. Now 13 minutes have been and gone. 7 left to go, or just under 7 left to go. So we're approaching the final quarter of the race, and some would say the final stage as well, because, well, let's be honest, 5 minutes is not a lot of time when these cars are fairly consistent and the same pace. You haven't got much time to try and build some momentum on the car in front of you and work out places you can go quicker than that car ahead of you. As we see, Jamie Dory and Dalmont switch positions, and they're going to switch back once more. No, they're not. Jamie Dory didn't get the power on enough to defend that place. So he concedes it for now, but only for now. As the 777 now finds himself on the outside line, 13 on the inside. 13, Jamie Dory does get his nose just ahead ever so slightly. Anna Dalmont now looks to come back again, and just as I say that, it gets almost made 3 wide as Isaac Dobel looked to get around the inside of both those cars there, and that's what they've got to be careful of. So Isaac Dobel's given them a bit of a taste. Now can they use that taste and stop that happening again, because that is going to cost both of them dearly. The moment you let Dobel get in front of you, that is it. He is going to be away. And you've got to be careful as well. We're battling this hard and this close together. It could also bring in Lee Horn. It looks like it has already. And Lee Horn could capitalise if these cars do end up collecting each other from any incident. Could get handed to Lee Horn on a plate. And at the minute, he finds himself on the outside line. Possibly looking to get a very wide move on Dory, and unfortunately can't. You see how tight these guys really are together. We are into that last quarter of the race now. 4.5 minutes left to go. Oh, bit of something there from the 777. That is going to cost Dalmont, who was sitting in a fantastic P2 spot, and now that has been taken by one and only Isaac Dobel. Just as I say that though, Dalmont looking to form a comeback and briefly had it, but unfortunately he now loses a position thanks to that move, and now Jamie Dory sits on the bottom step of the podium. Now can Jamie Dory find what he needs in the tank to overtake the 65 of Isaac Dobel? Not an easy job, that is for sure. But the top two are now as they were last race before the ending. Kieran Sharp does lead. Now, he looks like this one will be going home with Kieran Sharp this time, because look how far he is up the road. Here he is coming down the straight. There are the guys battling out in the background. 5.8 seconds this time round. Incredible stuff for your leader. Maintained and extended a really, really good gap as Nick Clemens looks to close that gap down. Just as I say that, Jamie Dory also looking to do the same thing on Isaac Doble. Don't turn too much on the inside. You've got Delmont there as well. As Delmont looks to get up the inside line now, and does so. Finds himself towards the outside though. This is the only downfall with the left to right all the time. It sounded like there was a bit of slide in there for Kieran Sharp, as you can see the time going down between P1 and P2. So we can see Nick Clemens once again going for the move here potentially. I was going to say only attempt between the two. See, there goes number 13 in the middle of this sandwich. Same with Delmont, the 777. Looking towards the outside line now for the 777 on the 65. And the 65 being Isaac Doble, currently holding off that P2 spot at the minute. And he's doing just enough at the minute to hold Delmont into those annoying positions on the outside line where Delmont can't get around because there's no extra speed in this car. They're all the same. So it's not easy to get around the outside in these vehicles at all. Doesn't take much for them to get to their top speed either. With a very short shifting gearbox. They do get through the gears quite quickly. They do find that top speed rather easily as well. As once again, 65 does sit in front of this group still. Mikey Pollard out, Sam Smith out. So we are now down to the last 13 cars. It's a bit like a demolition derby. Last one standing. Duncan Wright closing that gap down. And getting himself in front of Alan McCain. Alan McCain once again going into drift mode. Or show off mode as I like to call it. There's we have Delmont again outside line, turn 1. He knows that's not where the move's going to be done. And he's managed to outdo Isaac Doble, who's gone heavily wide on turn 1, conceded the position. And if Lee Horn can play his cards right, possibly 2 positions here. And he gives Isaac enough space to maintain momentum around the outside line. So they are going to continue side by side up this straight. Advantage initially falls to Isaac Doble. Inside line, 36, now switchback. Inside line goes towards the 36. Momentum still with the 65 at the minute, 13 of Jamie Dory mounting the rear end of Lee Horn. Lee Horn does back out eventually and lets those 2 cars swallow him up. So the 65 now finds himself on the bottom step of the podium, and across the line goes Kieran Sharp. So in amongst all that action, Kieran Sharp has now crossed the line as we have reached that point of the race where we're at our 20-minute mark already. So the time has absolutely flown by in this one. Isaac Doble did get P3 overall. Fantastic push for Delmont in the end, who finds himself in P2. And Jamie Dory, unfortunate, just to miss out on a podium spot. Question is the reverse grid going to work in his favour this time round? It was top 4 reverse grid last race. Is it going to happen again this time? We will see very, very shortly. Bring up your results here once more. And here we are then. Kieran Sharp did win in P1. Adam Delmont P2. Isaac Doble P3. Jamie Dory P4. Lee Horn P5. Andrew Pike P6. Matthew Cheverton P7. Sam Bradley P8. Nick Clibbens P9. Ben Altria P10. Duncan Murray P11. Alan McCain P12. Daniel Fritz P13. Mikey Pollard P14. And Sam Smith P15. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our third and final race, and that'll be here in just a few moments. So once again, we'll go back to our thumbnail screen and we'll bring you your third race with a final reverse grid of the season. This is what it all comes down to. We'll see you again in a few moments' time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and for the final time this season, I welcome you to the Ford Legends Cup Reverse Grid Top 13. So we're 2 off of a full grid reverse for this final race. Final one of the season, going out with a bang. And that is exactly what's happened here. We mentioned it in race 1, and we're getting it here in race 3. So, let me run you through the order from the top left. Starting off with Daniel Fritz leading us underway here. And Alan McCain, P2. Duncan Roy, P3. Ben Altria, P4. Nick Clibbens, P5. Sam Bradley, P6. Matthew Cheverton, P7. Andrew Pike, P8. Lee Horn, P9. Jamie Dory, P10. Isaac Doble, P11. And then from that we have Adam Delmont, P12. Kieran Sharp, P13. Mikey Pollard, P14. And Sam Smith, P15. It's a bit too foggy for the old blimp camp. There they are on the start-finish line. In the car with Daniel Fritz then, your leader, as they get ready to commence behind the pace car. The pace car is off and underway. So for the final time this season, the warm-up lap has been initiated and we are underway for the final race of the season. I would say this is what it all comes down to, but it seems like our championship leaders are more or less being confirmed, but it's more of a battle between those that may not be fighting for that P1 spot in the championship, but maybe fighting those around them. So this will certainly be a race for those guys to claim any points they possibly can. Sam Smith just wanted to make sure that that bumper is attached safely on the pace car, so you can see him accelerating up with great speed onto the rear end of that pace car. Not that he's meant to be the car behind the pace car, or right in that position anyway, but he found himself there. But the 31 is your P1 spot. Here's your leader, the 212 next to him, Alan McCain. They are your front grid, or front row, sorry, of your grid. And the battle between the greens that we saw towards the back of the pack on the second race, this time battle of the greens on the front of the pack, front of the grid. I'll do the normal. Battle box and track maps are up. And what we'll do as well, we'll bring up your class leaders. So you will see that chop and change, no doubt, throughout this race. Fritz, obviously leading the race and leading his class. And Alan McCain, P2. And he doesn't have to worry about anyone catching up to him from his class just yet. A couple of AMs split him from the next pro. So at the minute he maintained that P1 spot. But we are going to get underway any second now. The lights will go up and the feet will go down. All 5 lights up on your screen. There go the revs. All cars underway for the final time this evening and for this season at Mugello Racing Circuit Short. 3 wide instantly for the battle for P3. As you can see, front 2 on your grid side by side, but they're quite spaced out. 31 will have the advantage into turn 1, takes that advantage as well. The 212 sits there around the outside line, but carries enough momentum to keep his nose just ahead for P2 at the moment. But he's going to struggle to keep in front of Nick Clibbens, who's just in behind and not very far away at all. See Isaac Doble taking a rather wide line there, but manages to keep himself on circuit for now, and a couple of times dipped into the grass area on the outside of the track there. He may have been forced out just a little bit there by Lee Horn, but once again, side by side, and look who it is, Kieran Sharp next to Isaac Doble. This is a battle that has gone on all season long. 33 off course. 33 completely disappeared. Same for the 504. Ben Altria. Ben Altria not having the best of nights here this evening. Race 2 wasn't so bad. But this one certainly gone out the window. And unfortunately for Duncan Wright, same for him. Andrew Pike looked like he was caught up in that as well, but he managed to get his car going and rocking and rolling more or less straight away. and hasn't lost too much time to these guys just up in front. And look at this, pack still all close together from lap 1. And ooh, bit of push and shove there from Sam Smith. The car focus at the minute, you can see the bright pink, or the pale pink shall I say, of the 27 just on the inside line there for Isaac Doble. They were corner to corner, but now Isaac Doble does get his car up ahead. Now you got to watch out for Jamie Dory, because Jamie Dory's going to come up around the outside line of Sam Smith. They're going to be side by side, but all front left lock up for Sam Smith there. And number 27 does show quite a lot of smoke out of the exit of that turn. And you can see at the minute, McCain leads the way in the race, leads the way in the pros. Fritz still leading the way in the AMs. Plenty of cars between him and the next AM on the course. Single file traffic resumes once more. Once again this evening, we'll see a lot of single file traffic, no doubt, for this race. See a car coming out of the pits, that's Duncan Wright, rejoining the race. Last one of the season, Duncan. Give it your all. You may be a lap down, but go have some fun, sir. See the number 2, Sam Bradley, having a bit of an inside lock up there as well. Just like what Sam Smith had a few corners ago. In fact, it was exactly a lap ago, I believe, to this point that Sam Smith had his lock up. 73 on the outside line, Mikey Pollard. Next to 777 of Adam Delmont. And got to be careful, guys, because Isaac Doble's just up behind. Now, Isaac Doble probably a bit stressed after the last race, being kept behind 2 cars and stopping him from getting to Isaac Sharp. Well, that was an interesting one. Kieran Sharp, sorry. Isaac Doble being held off from Kieran Sharp. There we go. 2 cars split the 2 again here in this third and final race. So Isaac is the person that wants to fight with Kieran. The pace is very similar, if not identical, around each course we've been to this season, and those two really do give the fight to each other. And unfortunately, he's got 2 cars between him and his target. Mikey Pollard almost looks to try and seal him out. There might have been contact there between the 2 on that turn there. There certainly was on the exit by the looks of it, as the 73 does enough to maintain his position at the moment. Alan McCain, I think, maybe off course somewhere. Alan, what are you doing out there, sir? The track goes this way. Come towards the camera. There we go. 2-1-2. Back underway once more. Off track and conceding quite a few positions. About to get swallowed up once more. Duncan Murray unlaps himself from Alan McCain. Now that blue flag will be waving, and he's, in fact, they're going to go side by side, and they're going to fight like they're on the same lap. Don't blame you. Have some fun. Enjoy yourself. Last race this season. Go out with a bang. Put on a display. Kieran Sharp, P4. Looking for that P3 spot, podium spot, final race this season. Can he come away with more silverware? An extra cabinet is on order from IKEA at this rate. Gonna need some extra space for those trophies. As Kieran Sharp, makes his way up into P3, and the name I briefly mentioned now, Isaac Doble, was closing up on Mikey Pollard, number 73, just ahead. But that 65 hasn't got enough in the tank just yet to make that move. There's still a bit too much breathing space between the 2 cars. A little more work to do for Mr. Doble to claw that position and take that away. Grab it by the scruff of the neck and make it his own. Number 27 on number 2. Battle a little light blue. You can see that pale pink car looking towards the inside line, but doesn't have his nose quite side by side yet, and I've almost corner to corner in that final turn there, but a bit of a pull out for the number 27. Lets the number 2 go ahead, and that number 2 will be Sam Bradley. So not only is it a battle for the light blue, but it's a battle of the real Sam. So 2 Sams going at it. Duncan Wright, maybe a lap down, but he's coming up behind, and with quite some pace as well. And he'll be looking to unlap himself from these 2. And there's a number 2 on the inside line. Maintains that. Number 27 does get in front though. There's smoke in our camera view. Who has caused it? car going a little slow up ahead is Andrew Pike, but then again that could just be a poor exit from the corner. That may not have been a spin or something worse. So maintaining pace now is Mr. Pike. Lee Horn, a man with gold on his car, also has gold on his mind as he sits P1 overall at the moment. Kieran Sharp just in behind. Again, Sharp hunting down the lead. Not far away. Maintaining that draft all the way down the straight. 1/10 of a second splits the two cars. Now that is going to be nothing. They are going to be side by side into this turn 1. Advantage goes Kieran Sharp's way. Has the inside line. Can Lee Horn get the cutback? Looks towards the switchback on him, but the corner is so large, unfortunately that's not going to work. And Kieran Sharp makes away with that P1 spot intact at the moment. Now, can he break away from this pack and move up away from Lee Horn? Lee Horn may not be the quickest car on the grid, but certainly a tricky one to lose. As we know Kieran Sharp's pace is one of the best out there, but I'd say Lee Horn is probably one of the best for chasing cars down because he's always in amongst the battles and doesn't make it too easy for others to really break away. So if there's someone you don't want in your mirrors, it's that orange and yellow front bumper and grille of Lee Horn, because that's certainly a sight you're going to be seeing lap after lap. And there you go, there's a bit of a spin there in the background, and that is Jamie Dory facing the wrong way, spins his car back around. Being very careful not to impede anyone else's races by spinning himself back onto course. Daniel Fritz, unfortunately, conceding another position. Nick Clibbens moves up, and Mikey Ballard a bit on the defensive there as Nick Clibbens does come in hot. But single file traffic resumes once more here. Daniel Fritz, unfortunately, down 6 positions from his starting grid place, and he was your P1 sitter. So, unfortunately, he has gone down the grid, but we're nearly at the halfway mark, and to be P7 overall, not too bad. Fritz is leading his class at the moment, though, so still something to hold on to. And a good sort of 5 or so seconds, maybe a little bit more, between him and Sam Bradley. Sam Bradley, obviously, P2 in the class. So, still plenty of time. He's still got a lot to hold on to as well, because it may not be an overall win, but a class win is just as good. There is the 013 going around chasing after Mickey. I've done it again. Mikey Pollard. 777 just on the rear end now of Lee Horn, and Lee Horn still just 6/10 behind your leader. That has doubled from the last time we were looking at him. That was 3/10. It's now on to 6. So it has, the time has extended. Nevertheless, he's still in the rearview mirror of your leader. On a minute, side by side up the home straight. And I'm Dalmont, Lee Horn, side by side. Dalmont on the outside line, Horn on the inside. Vantage Horn. 36 does take the initiative, sticks the inside line, holds a nice and tight line to there as well. Along the rumble strips, onto the exit now. 777, the advantage should go his way. And Lee Horn does leave the door open for him. It almost invites him in a false sense of security, as your 36 does maintain that P2 spot. The 777 in P3 currently. Bit shaky there on the exit. Almost a bit of contact between the two cars. You can see Isaac Doble just on the outside of the picture there. Just behind. And a bit of a drift there from the 777. That's not the first time we've seen that this evening. Drifting from Delmont's car. Isaac Doble really getting himself tucked in and involved now, as he sends it side by side with the 777. And now, there we go, 777 still side by side with 65. Now, Lee Horn needs to take advantage of this situation and try and pull away. This is going to be the prime time to get that done and move up and further away on track from his opponents. And because one of them is a tricky opponent and he's coming through now, that is Isaac Dobel, P3. So he's also looking for some silverware in this final race of the season. Both him and Kieran Sharp do deserve it after this season. Certainly deserves it, and it's looking like he's going to get it as well. As Mikey Pollard says, not on my watch, and he is hunting down that podium spot as well. Again, Mikey Pollard having some fantastic races this season and some mega pushes as well to claw some positions away from others, and fantastic work he's been doing. So in theory, they all deserve some piece of silverware and some piece of some praise and gratitude towards their driving standards and their racing. It's been fantastic to see as we do break in towards the last 7 minutes of this race. And there is the 65. He's still sitting in front of Lee Horn. Mikey Pollard, still an interesting one, trying to get in front of Delmont, not quite able to do it this far. You see a bit of a hop there, a bit of a hop, skip and a jump from Isaac Dobel as he defends this P3 position. Let's check in with your leader. How's he getting on? Well, out for a nice little leisurely cruise. Plenty of time between him and P2. Obviously, I can assure you this, he is not cruising. He is he's certainly trying to get as much of a gap between him and P2 as he can. But that P2, Isaac Dobel, I thought he was P3, but I miscounted. And Lee Horn is actually the P3 spot. Lee Horn is the bottom podium sitter at the minute, but Adam Delmont takes that away from him up the inside line. Now, the question is, can 36 carry enough momentum to keep himself side by side? He doesn't. They're going to fall into single file traffic now, so he's not going to be able to take the advantage up the inside line of the next couple of corners. Unfortunate for him. Maybe trying to save on the tyres a little bit for a push right towards the end. You can see the gap between Lee Horn and the car ahead of Adam Delmont is the closest out there on course at the minute. Less than a tenth between the two. Bumpers basically kissing as they're coming up the home straight there. And the 36 on the outside line of Delmont, who's on the inside. Advantage Delmont, and takes that as well. Holds a nice inside line there. Bit into a drift there for Mr. Horn. Unfortunately, that's going to concede another position. And Mikey Pollard gets brought in to the mix and takes that position away from Lee Horn as well. So Mikey Pollard finds himself just outside the podium spots. Now if he can knuckle down just a little bit, he might be in for a chance at the podium. Adam Delmont has managed to win himself some space, some breathing room from the cars behind. Not too far from the car ahead either. Just under 4/10. Isaac Dobel, he does have his eyes set on that car ahead. And for example, this is the view. There is your leader. Into the distance, your championship leader as well, Kieran Sharp. And Isaac Dobel going in a little hot, it seems, as he does concede P2. Adam Delmont swiftly takes that away from him, and now this once more brings in the mix of the podium sitters. And I think there may have been a little bit of a commentator's curse there, because the moment we jump on board with Isaac, he struggles with the entry of turn 1. He's nailed it every time round so far, apart from the time I jump on board with him. So I take some responsibility there, I have to admit, as we are now into the last 3.5 minutes of this racing session. You see Delmont looking to defend his spot to Isaac Doble. Almost contact between Mikey Pollard there and the 36 of Lee Horn. It's very, very close to contact. But Isaac Doble does manage to take that P2 spot back. And he now sits in front of this pack. May not be in the lead of the race, but at the minute he's got the position he desires, which is in front of this group of cars here. Our next minute or two, or next lap shall we say, next lap is going to be crucial. If Isaac can maintain this position and hold a gap or extend said gap, this will be massive and the highlight of his race, because that will solidify some form of silverware, because still the battle goes on between Mikey Pollard and Delmont. Alan McLean closing the gap up. Oh, just as we look towards Alan McCain, Jamie Dory shows us how to drift on an exit and firmly kisses the wall to confirm the tyres are indeed working in the tyre barrier there. But Delmont at the minute still trying to chase onto the back of Isaac Doble. Mikey Pollard wanting some form of silverware, but he needs to get past the defence of Lee Horn first. It's not going to be easy, but the podium spots are slowly drifting away from these two on your screen at the moment. P4 and P5 as we look towards the last lap of the race. This is your leader. This is the gap between P1 and P2 on your screen. There's the white flag. So this is the last lap of the 5-week season of the Ford Legends, brought to you by NXTGEN Racing. So we switch back here. Delmont still just on the rear end of Isaac Doble. That position almost out of reach for Delmont now, unless there's some catastrophe involving Isaac Doble. I'm not going to jinx it too much. You know what? It's the end of the season. Yes, I am. Isaac Doble has been a very consistent driver this season. Not many errors at all. The only errors have involved him and Kieran Sharp as a duo when they've come together. So it's very rare that he goes off on his own. So Delmont, that position could be just out of reach for you, as he does have a bit of a slip there. And that's going to spin his car out ever so slightly. And that's going to bring Lee Horn into play. Now, can Lee Horn get that position? Now, defensive mode for Delmont into the final turn. Let's look towards your leader, Kieran Sharp. Across the line he comes, Jamie Dory, broken car, also coming across the line. Kieran Sharp once more is your winner. Isaac Doble, P2, and it looks like Delmont will just come away with a P3. P4 for Lee Horn. Mikey Pollard, P5. And Nick Clibbens, P6. So it was tense right up until the last few seconds of that race. The last few seconds of the season. A fantastic race of that as well, and a catastrophe right at the end, but at the end of the season, let the guys have fun. As for the final time, we bring you your results, and they are as follows. Kieran Sharp, for the final time this season, wins another race in the Ford Legends. P1. Isaac Doble, P2, and Delmont in P3. And we've got Lee Horn, P4, Mikey Pollard, P5, Nick Clibbans, P6, Andrew Pike, P7, Alan McCain, P8, Ben Altria, P9. He's won his class, though, so he's won the AMS. Daniel Fritz, P2 for the AMS, so not a bad place for him, P10 overall. Sam Bradley, P11, but he got that final podium spot for the AMS there in P11, and he's got that P3. So, Jamie Dory, P12, Matthew Cheverton, P13, Sam Smith, P14, Duncan Mariah rounds off your grid in P15. So that does round off your grid, your season, and your Ford Legends. That is going to be it for this 5-week extravaganza. And obviously we will have some amazing racing yet to come on the Next Gen channels as well, so obviously keep your eyes peeled. Some fantastic stuff up and coming. Looking forward to seeing you all there, no doubt. And whether I'm in the booth again, lurking behind the scenes in the chats with you, or even on track, who knows, I will see you all again very soon, no doubt. Like to just sit here and say on behalf of the racers, a massive thank you to all the Next Gen team for putting this 5-week series together. It's been an amazing 5 weeks at that as well. And a big shout out personally from myself to the Next Gen team for trusting me to talk you through what has been going on these 5 weeks and bring the crazy action to you. So I do sincerely hope you all enjoyed, and I really, really hope you all have a fantastic couple of weeks where you enjoy the weather and whatnot before we get cracking with some more racing and some more door-to-door paintwork exchange, shall we say, around some of these circuits. But from me, that is going to be all, and we'll see you again next time on the Next Gen Racing Team YouTube channel, Facebook, and all the other platforms you may follow on as well. From me and from the team, thank you very much, and good night.